Well, this is news just in now. 2 people have been allegedly beheaded in Chatsworth in the south of Durban. The details are sketchy at this stage.
On March 21st, 2023, Brandon Kalicharan, a notorious South African drug lord and founder of the 11th Street Gang, was driving with his wife and daughter in his black Volkswagen Amarok on Peter Road at 2 p.m. when chaos erupted. As they drove down the street, 2 heavily armed gunmen approached the vehicle from both sides, unleashing a hail of bullets. The car was struck by over 50 rounds of machine gun fire. CCTV footage from a nearby shop captured the scene. A white Toyota, believed to carry the attackers, sped away immediately after the assault. Moments later, the black Volkswagen Amarok, riddled with bullets and still carrying the family, veered out of control and crashed into a white vehicle on the opposite side of the road, coming to a stop. The attackers were not done. Determined to ensure no survivors, the white Toyota returned to the scene a few seconds later. A suspect exited the vehicle armed with an AK-47 and fired additional rounds at the motionless Amarok. Once satisfied with their deadly work, the gunman climbed back into the Toyota and the assailants sped away from the scene. This violent attack marked the downfall of one of South Africa's most feared gang leaders, bringing an end to his reign. Brandon's journey to infamy began in the suburban neighborhoods of Chatsworth, South Africa. Life in these areas often presents young people with limited opportunities, where the lure of gang life offers an escape from poverty and hardship. While some blame systemic inequalities for this path, others argue it reflects personal choices. Regardless of the cause, the reality remains grim. Entering the world of gangs is like stepping into a black hole where death, often violent, is the only way out. Brandon first encountered gang life in 2000 while working at a clothing factory. It was here that he crossed paths with Calvin Naidu, a businessman who operated clothing stores in Chatsworth and Phoenix. These establishments were merely fronts for a drug trafficking enterprise, and Brandon's involvement marked his initiation into organized crime. Over time, his role within this underworld grew. When Naidu and his bodyguard were killed in a drive-by shooting by the rival Three Boys gang in 2008, a power vacuum emerged in Chatsworth's drug trade. Brandon seized this opportunity, transitioning from an accomplice to a leader. Following Naidu's death, Brandon left the clothing business and opened a nightclub. This establishment became the nerve center for planning and executing the expansion of his criminal operations. However, his rise to power was not without obstacles. The Three Boys gang, already entrenched in the area, posed a significant threat to Brandon's ambitions. What followed was a brutal 2-year gang war that claimed numerous lives on both sides. In the end, Brandon emerged victorious, solidifying his control over Chatsworth's underworld. With his dominance established, Brandon founded the 11th Street Gang, naming it after the street where he had grown up. From this base of operations, he transformed his enterprise into a large-scale drug trafficking organization. Instead of merely selling drugs locally, Brandon adopted a wholesale model, distributing vast quantities of heroin to other gangs throughout Durban. This shift elevated his status from a local criminal to a powerful drug lord, feared and respected in equal measure. Brandon's ascent reflected not only his cunning, but also the harsh realities of gang life in South Africa. His ability to consolidate power and navigate the violent underworld made him a formidable figure. However, the same forces that propelled him to the top also ensured his eventual demise. In the world of organized crime, power often comes with enemies, and Brandon's influence had made him a target. Brandon Kalicharan made no effort to conceal his wealth or criminal ties. On social media, he frequently flaunted his luxurious lifestyle, posting videos and photos showcasing expensive cars, stacks of cash, and an array of weapons. In one striking image from a birthday party, he posed with a cake designed to resemble dollar bills and prominently displayed the 26 gang code, symbolizing his allegiance. His posts often featured him alongside other gang leaders, including members of the notorious Wentworth cartel. In one video, he danced near a DJ booth with his shirt unbuttoned, while another gang leader with well-known criminal connections brandished a wad of cash. These displays of excess and power underscore his boldness and defiance of the law. As Brandon's criminal empire expanded, so did the trail of violence. the mounting death toll caught the attention of organized crime and anti-gang units. By 2020, Brandon had become a priority target for law enforcement. In January 2021, a multidisciplinary police team, including Durban's anti-gang unit, the National Intervention Unit, and Durban Metropolitan Police, raided his residence in Treenan Park, Chatsworth. The operation, conducted shortly after midnight, was a coordinated strike. Officers armed with automatic weapons stormed the property, which was emblazoned with the name of the 11th Street Gang on its balcony railing. Flashlights pierced the darkness as police combed through the house, forcing Brandon's surprised associates to lie face down while they secured the area. After an intense search, Brandon was found in one of the rooms and arrested. He was then escorted to an unmarked police vehicle waiting outside. Following his arrest, Brandon faced a slew of charges. He was suspected, among other things, of the 2008 drive-by shooting of Gerald Aramugam. Additional charges included drug possession, unregistered firearms, attempted murder, and murder. Despite the gravity of these accusations, authorities struggled to make any of them stick. Allegations of corruption plagued the case, with reports indicating that Brandon had numerous police officers on his payroll. It was widely believed that he paid bribes to officers at the Chatsworth police station, which allowed him to evade justice time and again. Brandon Kalicharan showed no signs of slowing down, even as the dangers around him mounted. On social media, he continued to flaunt his connections, post videos of his dealings with other gangs, and openly mock rival gang leaders. His defiant displays were not just a testament to his audacity, but also a challenge to those who sought to undermine him. However, as the old saying goes, play with fire and you'll eventually get burned. Brandon's bravado ultimately sealed his fate in a brazen and violent attack that shocked even those familiar with the brutal realities of gang warfare. While Brandon and his family drove down a busy street in their black Volkswagen Amarok, danger was closing in. Two armed men approached from either side of the vehicle and opened fire. In an instant, chaos erupted as the car was struck by a barrage of machine gun fire. Over 50 rounds tore through the vehicle, leaving it riddled with bullet holes. CCTV footage from a nearby business captured the attack in haunting detail. A white Toyota Baki, believed to be used by the attackers, was seen speeding away immediately after the initial assault. The Amarok, now uncontrollable and riddled with bullets, collided with a white car across the street before coming to a stop. The attackers were not finished. Determined to ensure no one survived, the Toyota Baki returned to the scene moments later. One of the gunmen, armed with an AK-47, stepped out and unleashed another round of relentless gunfire at the incapacitated vehicle. After emptying more rounds into the already bullet-riddled car, the assailant climbed back into the Baki and the attackers fled the scene for good. The sheer brutality of the attack left no doubt that this was a meticulously planned execution. Brandon's death not only marked the end of his reign, but also sent shockwaves through the 11th Street Gang. With their leader gone, the gang spiraled into disarray. Internal conflicts quickly erupted as members vied for control and rival factions emerged within the group. The absence of a strong leader to unify them left the 11th Street Gang vulnerable, creating opportunities for their longtime rivals, such as the Three Boys, to exploit. Seizing the moment, these rival gangs began encroaching on 11th Street's territories and drug operations, further destabilizing the group. The fragmentation of the gang only added to their woes. Smaller splinter groups formed, each struggling to assert dominance or simply survive, often turning against one another in the process. Law enforcement agencies, recognizing the gang's weakened state, ramped up their efforts. Raids on the gang's known hideouts and operations increased as authorities sought to dismantle what remained of Brandon's criminal network. Despite these efforts, the power vacuum left by Brandon's death did not remain unfilled for long. New faces, eager to establish themselves in Durban's underworld, rose to take his place. The cycle of violence and corruption continued as fresh players stepped in to claim control, perpetuating the endless war of organized crime in South Africa. Brandon's demise was more than just the end of a notorious figure. It was a stark reminder of the unrelenting nature of the criminal underworld. His death disrupted the balance of power, but also set the stage for new rivalries and battles. It became yet another chapter in the ongoing saga of gang warfare, a world where alliances are fleeting and power is won and lost in the blink of an eye. The 11th Street Gang's collapse exemplified the fragility of empires built on violence and greed, yet it also underscored the enduring nature of the forces that drive organized crime. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.